This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
It's the show where we talk security vendors and aren't afraid to name names. It's Enterprise Security Weekly. This episode is sponsored by Fastly, the application security leader and edge cloud platform behind many top digital experiences. Fastly helps organizations deliver and secure online experiences for their end users through a modern, developer-friendly approach to security. With their next-gen WAF, bot management, and DDoS protections, teams have the tools they need to ensure their applications and APIs perform at their best without sacrificing speed or reliability. Discover how Fastly transforms security into an enabler for digital innovation at securityweekly.com/Fastly. You can't protect what you can't see. Everyone knows that, right? That's why RunZero gives you total visibility across your internal and external attack surfaces. Worried about unknown and unmanageable devices? They've got those covered too. RunZero also helps you illuminate all types of exposures, even the elusive ones. They go beyond CVEs to tackle the hard stuff, even 0 days. No agents, no authentication, just crazy deep data about your assets and exposures that focuses on the risks that actually matter. Not an endless sea of CVEs. Go try it for free and start seeing results in minutes. Visit securityweekly.com/RunZero to get started.
Welcome to Enterprise Security Weekly. This is episode 419, and according to Adrian, happy National Sea Serpent Day. I'm your host, Jackie McGuire, and I am joined by Ayman Elsawah. We are at BlackHat 2025, and we thought we would bring you a really special episode of ESW and share what we learned. Ayman.
Hey, Jackie.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I think I counted that I have done 27 or 28 interviews in the last 3 days.
That's wild.
Yeah. I'm great, though, because they all went well.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little situation where I cried on camera during...
No way.
Yeah, during Security Weekly, we were doing the daily intro, Doug and I, yesterday, and I got a tickle in the back of my throat, and I didn't want to cough, so I tried to suppress it, and all of a sudden, tears just started, and Doug was like, he thought he made me cry.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I was like, I'm fine. And we were talking about supply chain, so I kind of was like, I just wish we would secure our supply chain. But so that was the only kind of weird thing that happened.
Supply chain is important, I guess. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a critical piece of security.
Yeah,
so,
worth crying about, I guess. Yeah, worth crying about.
So I will admit, I only spent a few minutes on the show floor while it was the business hall while it was being built.
Yeah.
I have attended 0 sessions. I've done a lot of hallway con.
Yes.
I didn't really get to do the full BlackHat experience this year because I was media. Did you?
No, unfortunately, I did not. I met my goals, so I did a lot of lobby con, hallway con.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I met a lot of people, even coming in here, wading through the onslaught of the exodus of people and their unfortunate Uber rides.
Oh, man. I feel bad for those people.
You should have seen the line of Ubers outside and the people waiting in the lobby with their bags. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I got to see a lot of people, learned a lot of things. One of the things I like the most about coming here is hearing the back stories to things. The off the record kind of stories. So that's
really for sure. And I think, I don't know about you, but for me, most of my friends I've made through security. And so generally I only actually get to see those friends here, maybe RSA, maybe a few of the Cyber Risk Alliance events, but it's really like, it's a family reunion for me. And I look forward to it so much. I was lucky enough to interview Steve Wiley. He's the general manager of BlackHat, and I thought one of the things that I was really, really impressed with was that they had Mikko Hyppönen as one of their keynote speakers. A lot of the keynotes focused around like fighting authoritarianism and other things like that. And I felt like those were really, really good, great choices in terms of speakers you could get some blowback from that, right? And you can make really safe choices, and you can have speakers speak about regular things. But I think to emphasize this is a community, and right now we're kind of under attack in multiple ways, and we need to use our voices to really speak out against the types of kind of descent into authoritarianism that we've seen. And I thought that was really interesting just because I think we forget that as a cybersecurity community, we actually have, like, well, not only do a lot of us have our fingers on the buttons, but we have a big voice.
We do, but I think we're still fragmented, You'll see, the security community has a whole different kind of background of folks. There's those with military backgrounds, not military, those who come from private industry and public. So it's interesting, but it's nice to see some things come together. So yeah, that's.
Yeah, I always say that coming to security conferences kind of renews my faith in humanity, because with all of those different people from different backgrounds, we all end up at the same parties together. We all end up in the same sessions. And at the end of the day, nobody ever stops to ask, the other person in their security operations center what their affiliations or beliefs are before we all respond to an incident together. So we have a long way to go. But I feel like we're more aligned than a lot of other industries are. So yeah, that was interesting. Identity seems to be one of the biggest things that people are talking about here. And I think, CyberArk Palo Alto picked up CyberArk last week, massive valuation. So
crazy.
That was, and then we were just talking today, you said SentinelOne, an acquisition.
Picked up an AI security company. Yeah. So, all these companies, anything with AI, good AI technology is getting picked up very fast. And so this is another AI. It's called Prompt Security. I need to take a look at what they do, but they claim to help your security operations. And am I a little jaded? Does it come off?
Well, if you're a SentinelOne or a CrowdStrike or one of the giant guys, you only really have two options, which is build or buy, right?
Yeah.
And as big as they are, generally build is not the most efficient option. Yeah. And if you feel like you're a little bit behind your competitors, and buy is obviously going to be the way. And we're in this wave of really like consolidation anyway, in that we are seeing a lot of companies opt to be acquired instead of being, I think if you're a SentinelOne or a CrowdStrike or one of those companies, if you're looking at build versus buy and you feel like you're maybe a little bit behind your competitors, the only option you really have is to buy.
100%. Yeah. And listen to the hallway conversation.
Yeah. There's hallway con going on here, but more with the food vendors. So hopefully we can tune that out for you. But so look, if you're behind your competitors, if you feel like you're already kind of being outpaced and you're one of these large companies, they're just not nimble enough to innovate. And I hate to say that, but I talked to two of the different partners from Ballistic Ventures this week, Jake and Barmack, and they both were kind of saying the same thing. We're in this wave of consolidation, and that makes sense because all these different really unique security problems popped up. All these little vendors popped up to solve them, and now you're getting gobbled up.
Yeah.
AI security is the same thing, but the weird thing in AI security is that it means 100 different things to 100 different people.
I'm kind of skeptical in AI security because there's a lot of things you can do on your own. Mm-hmm. And so things are just moving really quickly. I'm half skeptical. So basically, until I see an existing tool being replaced by that AI company, then I talked to a few young folks at this really budding startup, and I was talking to them, and I'm like, hey, what about, do you displace like Tines, for example? Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, actually, we replaced Tines in this one, in one customer. Yeah, I won't name the actual company, but when they said that, I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm listening. Now I'm interested. I'm interested because, listen, when you walk through the floor, how do you feel when you walk through the floor? Let's be honest here.
It's like
here in RSA, right?
You're just swimming in jargon and marketing crap and tchotchkes, and I try to avoid the business hall, and I know I probably shouldn't say that, but it's so overstimulating.
Yeah.
And there are all these companies, most of whom you've never heard of, and when you get away from the very center, and watching companies explicitly rebrand themselves to AI when they had nothing to do with AI 6 months ago. I am full on disillusioned at this point, just because the ROI is so lacking in so many of these projects. And so that I've been really focused on asking people, where are you actually seeing people make money? Where are you actually seeing people add, enterprise value, add revenue? Because it seems like more an experiment in FAFO than, it also seems like most people are probably FOMO more than FAFO. Like FAFO because of FOMO, right? Because you're worried that, your competitor is using AI and you're not, even if you're a gas station. And like, what if they
Oh my God,
somehow
yeah.
replace all of their clerks? And, I think there's so much of this like high level executives worried they're going to get outrun without really understanding what it takes to compete there.
What's interesting? Someone said the other day, and this is kind of hit me hard, like all these conferences are now becoming AI conferences.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad. Like, any tech conference is now going to be an AI conference. In cybersecurity, like you can't get anywhere without AI. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, and I think one of two things will happen, right? Either we'll go through this boom and bust and we won't be able to deliver capacity and AI will just spectacularly flame out, or it becomes the new, and somebody was saying like MCP, like Model Context Protocol, is going to be the new HTTP.
Yeah.
And like that's just, it'll just become part of the stack. I remember when wireless internet came out, right? Like there's all these things that have just fundamentally transformed technology.
We are, yeah.
And so I think, in a couple years, hopefully it's not the cool new thing anymore. It's not the thing everybody, and it's more about, okay, this has been integrated into all of our stacks and we can go back to outcomes and use cases. Because that's what we're missing, right? Like that's what I'm missing in almost all of these conversations is where is the outcome?
Yeah.
Where is and then we achieved, we went from 10,000 untriaged high severity alerts to 2,000 even.
Yeah.
Like, have you heard, like, other than, automation, is automation actually AI? Or is it, because you were saying replacing time, so that's more of like automation, isn't it, right? So that's more deterministic than it is probabilistic.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think where we're going with AI agents is like this thought that they can do these probabilistic things where, if I think it's 98% likelihood this is a DDoS attack, I can shut this down, or like.
Yeah, that's still like, that's going to be the hard part is like all this stuff is still probabilistic. And when you're talking about production, and when you're talking about like can't be deleting databases and so.
I think Adrian was talking last week about the ChatGPT told him, or you were saying, was it you that were saying somebody told you your AI told you just drop a SQL database? It was either you or Adrian. We were talking about vibe coding.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh yeah, just go ahead and drop that table. It's like, no, we probably don't want to do that actually.
Right. Yeah. And there's been instances where like, production vibe coding tools have done that, but the future is interesting. How it's going to look like in the future when you ask AI to triage something. It's I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, we're full disillusionment and out of gas last day at BlackHat. So, what are the non-AI things that you picked up this week that were interesting?
Oh man, the non-AI stuff. I had a whole list of stuff. Let's see. Again, just listening to different incidents, different CISOs and how they run their tabletops. So listen to a lot of good war stories from that perspective.
Yeah. I had I think it was HD Moron from Run Zero and was kind of talking about runtime security, and that was pretty interesting. And I think unfortunately, almost all of our conversations end up dead ending into AI, right? Because
they do.
With even identity. It's like, oh, let's talk about identity. And then you go, well, look, non-human identities. And then it goes, but I think this is the thing that our teams are being tasked to secure the most. So let's see here, another thing. So one of the other statistics that was shared with me was they were looking at a Fortune 20 bank, and they were looking at vibe coding and AI coding tools. And the number of pull requests went way up, but the number of commits went way up. The number of pull requests went way down.
Oh, okay.
And so they're making significantly fewer, they're merging significantly fewer, but they're merging these massive commits.
Oh.
And so it's resulting in more vulnerabilities, because vibe coding is great, but if you can write 10,000 lines of code in a couple days when it used to take you weeks to do that, the person who's merging that also has to review all of those lines of code.
Right.
So until we can vibe merge,
well, there is vibe review.
Yeah.
So people are building vibe review agents.
Right?
At the end, no, they're just having an agent. They're creating an AI agent, because that's the thing about beauty about sub agents now, which people have been doing even before Cloud Code introduced it. So I think the way to do vibe coding right is to have this good orchestration, just like you would at any company. And so you have a UI UX agent specific for that, or a TypeScript agent or a React agent, and then a back-end engineer, and then a front-end engineer, and all this kind of stuff. And then they're orchestrated. But again, it's still kind of like a bubble. Like you just like go and do this, and but people are claiming it. I mean, listen, GPT-5 just came out yesterday, right?
This morning was the announcement, and I literally have not had a chance to look at it because I've
me
been
neither.
sitting here for
me neither.
hours.
But it seems to be very technical. People say it's very technical. It's very good performant. Opus 4.1 came out too, and that's interesting.
But at the end of the day, and one of the conversations I had today was at the end of the day, it's all Python, APIs, MCP, and it's just the way you secure it is really the way you secure any other infrastructure.
Exactly. It's still code. Like again, if it's like a junior engineer producing, the code that a junior engineer, even senior engineers produce, vulnerable code, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
even more so sometimes because you get comfortable. I think junior engineers produce insecure code generally out of ignorance. I think, whereas senior engineers produce code out of maybe it's more like not burnout or, just like overlooking, like carelessness.
They just want to ship. Yeah.
Well, and so that also, there's a culture piece to that too. And I've worked at different companies with different theories on shipping code and releases and things like that. And there are certainly the companies that are like, it's going to release the day that we have it set to release. And there are companies that are like, we would rather ship it correctly than ship it early. And so I'm hoping that because the potential for fallout, because of how quickly these things can take action is larger, we'll get to a place where it's like the ship it correctly, don't ship it on time. Because I've been at organizations that being on time was more important than being secure. Yeah.
I think there was a company that shipped something quickly and just like anything, but because it was AI, but a whole bunch of records were made public, you know? But, I want to ask you, what do you think about the workforce? Have you heard any discussions? Have you had any workforce discussions?
Yeah, I think, so I actually started out, I've been doing a bunch of work with WeSys because of, so I actually, a couple weeks ago, I went to our cybersecurity and I pulled like the last 6 months worth of posts on our cybersecurity. And I was like, just give me the pulse of this, right? So assess like sentiment and things like that. Number one complaint was workforce. Number two was I'm sick of doing security that's just check the box compliance, which was interesting. But yeah, so I think there's this recurring theme that we have a talent gap, that like people are coming out of school or, boot camp or whatever it is, and entry level positions are still wanting 5 to 10 years of experience, which is insane, right? Because that's not entry level.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so, it's not as much, I'm hearing, the job market's tough. But also, one of the crazy things that I've heard is I have friends who are security engineers who are being moved into development roles in AI stacks.
Oh, interesting.
Because the AI teams are having such a hard time integrating into these pretty intense enterprise stacks that have crown jewels. And, when you're integrating the AI, it needs to be able to talk to different sensitive things in customer environments. And like, it's just not their forte to build all of these different interconnections in some of these data platforms and SaaS solutions. And so that's one of the things I think is really interesting is I actually thought it would go more the other way, that we would see people moving from security into AI, but we're seeing people moving from from security into development.
Interesting.
And so that and I've actually heard that from 2 or 3 different people, that they're now being asked to oversee more development to make sure that development's happening securely.
Wow.
What about you? What are you hearing workforce wise?
Well, I attended a really interesting talk at the Punk Rock Museum of all places on Monday.
That's awesome.
There was a couple of talks, there was a bunch of panels actually, and there was 2 that were really interesting. One had Ken Huang on there who, in collaboration with OWASP, created something called the AI VSS. Same as the CVSS scoring system. So an AI vulnerability scoring system. And it's very interesting. So there's like the 10 different metrics that they came up with on how to score an AI model's security or AI system security. So that was really cool. I want to start implementing that soon with like, my in my environments and my clients. Yeah. And then the other talk was interesting. I had Daniel Miesler and was is a well-known AI, has a big newsletter and everything like that. And then Doug Wilson from Anthropic and a few others. And we were talking about the future of what are security teams going to look like in the future? And then previously there were a couple of CISOs from other places too. So there was just a jumbled, a whole bunch of discussions, some optimistic, some pessimistic.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. I think what's interesting is we as humans bring or incorporating into AI like our own like values and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just like how in software previously, whoever coded the software is gonna like have their own biases in the software. But the same thing with AI, like how their future outlook. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, no, and I think I've actually spoken about this a couple times this week with different people, in that one of the things that AI is making very apparent to me is how much people really want to believe that a lot of the world is objective truth, like that the reality the reality is objective, and that there are right and wrong ways to do everything, and that there's one answer for most things. And the reality is that 99.5% of things around you are subjective. You can have 10 people eyewitness a crime, and you will get 10 completely different stories, because the nature of human memory is very, very, very subjective. And so things like there's always that joke that you can ask 3 engineers how to solve a problem and you'll get 5 answers. And so that tells you that it's really difficult to build models. And that, I guess this is going towards your thing about culture, is that how you solve problems can be cultural. Like it can be how you learn to do it at one place or another. And because we, from our own selfish perspectives, think a lot of things are objectively one way or the other to the rest of the world, I think, to your point, we're building these things into models, assuming that the way things work in the Western part of the world for us who are English speaking and raised a certain way will work for everybody else.
Right.
And and I spoke about that a lot with, in terms of like diversity and why diversity is important in building AI, because if you have AI that's built predominantly by upper class, English speaking, Western, let's be honest, a lot of white people, you're going to build systems that reflect those cultures and values. And so the unfortunate thing there is that the people who stand to benefit the most from this technology is everybody else, right? If you're upper middle class, Western, English speaking, you probably are okay. If in AI can do some things for you, but it's not going to fundamentally change whether you go to bed hungry tonight or not. Where I see, like, if you're living somewhere where you're food insecure and AI can help connect you with restaurants that have leftover food tonight that they're just going to end up throwing away, that's a much better use of that. But is that the first thing that most AI developers are going to think of if they've never gone to bed hungry? Maybe not. And so like that's to me why representation matters in technology, is because, to your point, we can't just hard code our view of the world into these things, because we need these things to work for everybody.
Yeah. Even same thing with emotions. The same example you just mentioned applies to emotions.
Yeah.
So in the book How Emotions Are Made, which is a fabulous book, highly recommend it. The author talks about how we consider happiness, smiling and whatever, but like in other parts of the world, there's different micro expressions that may not translate the same way because of, maybe stoic societies or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I've heard about that, how they think that Americans are crazy because they always have these huge
really?
smiles on their
wow.
faces.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know
There
that.
are other countries that find it really creepy how big Americans smile.
Oh, wow.
Because we're always like, and like I've heard that before, that in like Eastern Europe, they find it really creepy.
Right. So conversely, we think they're always mad, right? Or whatever may be.
Eastern Europeans are like the coldest humans that exist.
For example, so that's, that's a perception that's based on our biases, for example. So anyway.
So how do you avoid baking that into AI when you're building it? Like, what's the answer there, do you think?
I don't know.
Have AI build AI and make sure that AI has checked its own AI for.
I think it's up to you, and like as a consumer, like just maybe read the label, right?
Yeah.
Where this is like made, because if you ask an American-made AI a question about something, and then you ask maybe a Chinese AI another question, you'll get different answers.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, so
Alexa, you ask Alexa certain answers, it won't answer.
Yeah,
so I mean, it's true.
The Chinese thing is interesting, I think, from a cultural standpoint, because I remember talking about this on ESW when DeepSeek came out. And they were like, oh, it's 100x more efficient. And people were like, that's not possible. I'm like, it sure as heck is, because Chinese culture has been around for 6,000-7,000 years. Their languages existed for thousands of years. The internet in China is significantly more censored. So if you think about training on American internet, like American internet is trash. The Western internet is just garbage because we don't censor it, because you can pretty much just you can say whatever you want about the government, about businesses, about other people, and our legal system does protect
4chan.
people. Right. The First Amendment, 4chan, Backpage, like there are lots of places on the internet that Western culture has made real seedy. And so when you think about training a model with that, there's so much variation in slang. Like slang varies from one borough in New York to another.
Yeah.
And yes, there are those nuances in Chinese culture, but I think that because their culture itself, their language and their internet are all highly structured, they are so much more efficient to train because So I think from a cultural standpoint, when DeepSeek came out, people didn't believe it because they were trying to look at it through Western eyes. And I'm like, oh no, that makes total sense to me. Their training data couldn't be cleaner because they censor everything on their internet.
Yeah, and then another thing, another way probably people are going to try to do is just jailbreak these models, right? Because a lot of the guardrails are in the system prompts.
Yeah.
So that could be another thing, where people, selling underground versions of different models or whatever in the future. I mean, people say in the future everyone will have their own custom model that they can, use. I don't know. So
I guess, we kind of all have our own custom algorithm, right?
Yeah, of course.
We all have, Google's got an algorithm for us, and maybe it's that. And I would be okay with that if I got to hold the model. And this is always what I've argued is why is it that I can't hold my identifying and biographic and preference information at the edge and just have Google push me the algorithm? Then I can maintain my privacy. They can still, and that seemed like such a better way. So if we can go to where I have my own model and my own MCP and, it's interacting in a way that maintains my privacy, not training some other model, I think that would be fantastic.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Daniel Miesler made his own MCP for all his work.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
I built my own gems. So I have a gem I have a gem for me as a research analyst. Oh. So I fed it with my predictions for 2024 and 2025.
A Ruby gem, I assume, right?
Gemini, Google Gem.
So Google Gem.
Gemini.
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
So I have my own gem, and I gave it here's my thesis as a researcher. Anytime a news story I want to keep track of comes up, I put it in the gem. So I have that gem for myself as a research analyst, but then the way I write is a lot more sarcastic and snarky and millennial than a research analyst. So then I have another gem that I've trained with all of my own writing. That's hey, here's my writing style. I gave it 100 examples of how I write and videos of me. And so I take what comes out of the analyst stuff and then I put it in the content style and I'm like, hey, take this and make it sound more like me.
There you go.
Legacy tools flood you with alerts. Node Zero shows you what's actually exploitable. Horizon 3 AI's offensive security platform autonomously identifies attack paths, validates findings with real proof, and helps teams prioritize remediation based on true impact. No agents, no guesswork, no disruption. Just production-safe testing that mirrors how adversaries move in the real world. Stay ahead of credential abuse, privilege escalation, and lateral movement. Learn how Node Zero changes the game at securityweekly.com/Horizon3. Do your end users always, and I mean always, without exception, work on company-owned devices and IT-approved apps? I didn't think so. So my next question is, how do you keep your company's data safe when it's sitting on all those unmanaged apps and devices? 1Password has an answer to this question: Extended Access Management. 1Password Extended Access Management helps you secure every sign-in for every app on every device because it solves the problems traditional IAM and MDM can't touch. Check it out at securityweekly.com/1password. Ransomware. Supply chain attacks, 0 days. Cyber threats don't wait, and neither should your defenses. With Threat Locker, you're not just reacting to threats, you're stopping them before they start. Our Zero Trust endpoint protection locks down your environment with pinpoint control over what's allowed to run and what's not. No guesswork, no blind spots. Just proactive, built-for-now security that keeps your business moving. Want to see how a true default deny strategy works? Head over to securityweekly.com/threat-locker and take the first step towards shutting the door on threats before they even knock.
Yeah, and it took me a while to accept that and accept that you get out what you put in. And it's not fair to say that's not me doing work when I've basically trained this thing with highly specialized data that I've curated myself. So is it writing some things for me? Absolutely. But if I had a junior analyst, that's probably what would be happening anyway. So I look at it this way. I look at it as like if you work with an editor when you're writing a book, you didn't write that book. Like the key things are still yours, but editors tear books apart. For grammar, for readability, for flow, and so to me, it's like it's no different than if it was a human editor editing my work. It's just a computer. So I'm trying to get more comfortable with it, and I feel like as like young Gen X, old millennials, like it's a big stretch for us because we've been raised with like polar opposite things. It's the same thing as like don't be attention seeking, don't be an influencer.
Right.
So I think our conception of what original work is different and things like that. So I'm trying to get better at this myself because I feel like I don't want to be left behind.
But that's okay. Yeah, I mean but that's fair. But there is like a line, like for example, someone was bringing up the notion that like CEOs were sending emails to employees and using ChatGPT, and people could see right through it. Or like, I don't know if you ever had someone personally, like maybe you have a difficult conversation with someone, and they text you this like, I'm like, this is ChatGPT. I'm like, and you just feel like disrespected. It's like, can you just like type something? I mean, like it's okay.
Yeah, there are certain things that are okay to hand to a digital intern, and there are certain things that are not. I don't want to be broken up with. I can always tell. I get it from customers too, right? Because we work with vendors, and they'll send us like what we're supposed to talk about in an interview. And as soon as it starts with in a rapidly evolving threat landscape, I'm like, that's GPT. God. Like ChatGPT only calls it a rapidly evolving threat landscape, and I don't know why, but that's how it refers to it. But yeah, there's one of my favorite ways people are showing their ass on LinkedIn right now is there's something broken in the way people are using AI to post. So instead of my name, it'll say poster name in brackets.
Oh, really?
Like it was a variable that was supposed to get filled in by the AI tool.
That's hilarious.
I had somebody comment on one of my posts the other day and they were like, that's fascinating, poster name. And just some BS.
Oh my God.
I also had somebody, gosh, I hope they don't listen to this. I have a connection on LinkedIn who's trying to be an influencer and post more, which is great. I think smart people should post more and should have more influence over community, but they're doing it with ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. And it could not be more painful that when you see the 2 short paragraphs, a list of emoji bullet points, and then like, here's what I learned about, MCP
or
from getting
dash,
divorced a third time. Yeah. The M dash, which is really annoying to people who are really into grammar. But yeah, so 2 months ago, they posted something. They tagged me in it and referenced an article I wrote, but completely mischaracterized what I had written in the article.
Oh, no.
And I was furious. I'm like, if you're going to quote me and reference work I've done in AI, you better make damn sure that's. I was actually pretty upset about it.
Did you reach out or like?
I did, yeah. I removed the tag from the post,
right.
So you can do that. I removed tagging myself, and I reached out and was like, hey, just so you know, like you could. Obviously, they didn't read my article. I was like, you should read the article because that's not what I said at all.
Did it get corrected?
I didn't look.
Oh, okay.
This was like right before I headed out on the road.
Yeah.
I think as you're using these tools, just be mindful. This is a good advice as a human.
Yeah.
Read a freaking room. Like, read a room.
Yeah.
Know the platforms where using, AI is not going to be offensive to people. Mm-hmm. Understand when conversations need a personal touch, such as, you have a difficult conversation and they respond. I had the same thing happen. My partner was sharing with me that something happened at work and he got this really weird, AI generated apology from somebody. And so just understand that you can do more harm than good if you show people that you weren't respectful enough of their time to use some of your time to write something.
Right.
And that's where I think it's, when I read AI generated slop on the internet for articles too, I'm like, this tells me you don't value my time because you think that my time is worth less because it took you a tenth of the time to write this article that it's going to take me to read it, which is usually the polar opposite, right?
Yeah.
So let's just be respectful of people and their time and their feelings and whether they need an actual human interaction from you.
We're going to have to relearn communication. Like, really, like, that's going to be a missing skill, just like driving stick shift in the future, like, or like now. Just learning how to communicate.
It annoys me you can't even buy one anymore. Because like I always drove manuals, but in a lot of vehicles, it's not even.
I still have a manual.
Yeah. So, do you?
Oh,
What do
yeah.
you drive?
Huh?
What do you drive?
Right now, it's a mini convertible.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I always think of the Italian Job when I see
Yeah.
those. And like,
I was targeting a BMW because I wanted rear wheel drive.
Yeah.
So the three things I wanted was rear wheel drive, manual, and a convertible. No, it's not a midlife crisis. It's just the next version. Like my last one was a GTI.
Yeah. No, I had a little manual Pontiac Solstice for a while. Those little like 2-seater roadster convertibles they made, and that thing was so much fun to rip up and down 280 and.
Oh really?
Yeah.
The Solstice.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, this is like 2009.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
same thing. I just moved to California and I was like, I want a convertible.
Nice.
It was awesome. So I guess we're going to wrap up.
Yeah.
What are the main things you're taking back with you from BlackHat other than maybe a cold and some t-shirts?
Well, with BlackHat, I mean,
what can we be doing to support the workforce issues that you've been hearing about?
yeah, that's it's a really good question. And are you gonna DEF CON at all?
Yeah. I'll be here till Sunday. I'm going to die.
Wow, I'm here till Sunday as well. Yeah, so I'm trying to like titrate my energy and the whole week. So I'm actually doing an author signing. So I've been thinking about this a lot. So one of the things about workforce is like how do we guide people to getting into the workforce, right? And some of the things I heard this past week kind of reaffirmed some of my assumptions where, if you're a junior engineer with vibe coding or AI in general, you're going to be a mid-level or even senior engineer, right? If you're a senior engineer, it's going to have more output. You just need to use AI to help enable your work. What that's going to mean is that the bar is kind of getting higher now. You're going to have to be more technical to get in. One of the big things, actually I heard this at like some random homeschooling thing, is that you're going to have a good ability to learn. Because all this information is now readily available. You can learn it, or have something teach it to you. And so what's going to differentiate you is how fast you could learn and get up to speed.
That's what Neil deGrasse Tyson said at Dell Tech World as well.
Oh yeah?
As they had him as a guest speaker, and he said, people keep asking me, what do I tell my kids? Like, what do I tell my kids right now? If I have kids in middle school or high school and they're getting ready to go to college, they're freaking out because they're like, I have no idea what to study because everything's changing so fast. And he said 2 things will never change: the loving to learn and math. Because at the end of the day, every single thing around you comes down to math in some way, shape, or form. And so that was his biggest thing, is he was just like intellectual curiosity, learning for the sake of learning, for the sake of like just curiosity. And
you hear that, kids?
Yes. Be curious and find safe places to do risky things. So this has been a common theme today too about AI with all the executives I'm talking about, is you can't keep people from doing risky things. You need to give them safe places to do them, whether that's a sandbox environment, whether that's a really well guardrailed test environment, whatever that looks like. Like, let people be curious, let them experiment, let them try new things, just give them safe places to do it. I just started rock climbing indoors with my kids.
Oh, cool.
So my kids are learning and I'm watching them 12 feet up on a wall, and you just got to be like, we taught them how to fall.
Yeah, we do.
Taught them how to fall.
Yeah.
And so and I think to your point, so I actually met with a company last week before called Nukudu. I had never heard of them. It's NUKUDO.
Okay.
And they actually hire employees for aptitude as W-2 employees.
Okay.
They employ them, they train them in cybersecurity, and then they place them at companies still as their W-2 employees until they make a transition. So this is a really interesting model to me. I'd never heard of them before, and I was really excited to hear about this because I'm working with WESIS right now on a very similar thing. Like, how do we get more women into cybersecurity? And one of the things I was focused on is like nurses already have 80% of what they need to be in cybersecurity. They understand protocol, they understand procedures, they understand acronyms, they know how to handle critical incidents. They're great under pressure.
That's true.
And so teachers would be great at GRC. Teachers would be, there's so many. So I took all these skills and correlated them. And I think we need to start hiring for aptitude and understanding that we have really, unfortunately, gatekept security by acting like all these acronyms and things that we know are super intellectually secret. And a lot of them you can compare to other things. And so let's stop gatekeeping. Let's stop,
100%.
let's start talking to kids about cybersecurity. Let's start telling people like, hey, you already have the skills. You just got to swap the data. It's context swapping. Very easy.
Yeah. What are some of your takeaways?
Mine are, the community is still alive. I don't know if we're as well as we should be. I feel like a lot of people are feeling, the geopolitical issues, the uncertainty, and seeing what's happened at CISA is hard. Seeing, some of our I'm not going to call anybody out, but we've seen a lot of political retaliation against cybersecurity people, against people speaking out, and I feel like the community's feeling it. Many of us have friends who are in the Fed, have been in the Fed, or in different agencies, and just that level of uncertainty. And security has always been one of those bubbles that didn't get touched by that for the most part because what we do is so special.
Right.
And I think that's why the keynote by Mikko Hipponen was so powerful, is that something is changing. And they're now, security is now not off the table in terms of political things. And that is not good for anybody in the world. It just really isn't. Would you want your brain surgeon asking his nurse what her political affiliation is before she helps him with surgery? That's the level of fear that I think people have, is that to be able to do the jobs we do, we have to stay non-political. We have to focus on the mission. And so I think that,
but we still need to be ethical.
Yeah, well,
I think, because there's a lot of, I think we were in a bubble. Because we were in a bubble, we became so powerful, and we were able to do so many things that the lines of ethics have we felt we were beyond ethics, and unfortunately, there's still a lot of ethical or non-ethical things done. Not, I'm a minority. I'm a minority.
No,
but
I don't know if it's a minority though. It's interesting that you can sell every piece of a person except their skin. You can sell everything about me, my DNA profile, my fingerprint, as long as my physical body is not attached to every piece of information in my life, a data broker can sell it. That is something I think that is a fundamental crisis that we need to confront, in that why is it legal to traffic everything about a human except for their body when it's not legal to traffic all of that thing if it's in their body? And so that's, I don't like that. I don't like, but to your point, yes, and accountability matters.
Yeah, and you mentioned subjectivity. We have to acknowledge that we are always subjective.
Yeah.
When even in journalism, it's objectivity does not really exist.
No, it's impossible.
I learned that from a journalism teacher. So it's someone said there's three sides to the truth, one side, the other side, and then what actually happened. You look at a game, and there's an offside call. With the line, they have the video and everything. They're looking, and you're still not sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, and I think one of the funniest things that I've ever heard from somebody is they were like, do you realize that if you didn't have a nose, you wouldn't even know that scent existed? You would have no way to understand that because, and it's that is the nature of subjectivity of existence, is that everything you think you know and you think to be true is based on how you perceive it with your own eyes, your 5, 6, 7, 8 senses.
Which is limited in itself.
Yeah. So that's what I always try to keep in mind, is that my favorite quote is never attribute to malice what can be explained by ignorance. I'm pretty sure it's Mark Twain. And and I think so in most people it's not malice. It's like we all experience the world differently and bring our different perspectives to it, and we need to learn how to work together. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to DEF CON. I think in DEF CON I kind of feel a little bit more community there sometimes.
Yeah.
This is a suit, executive kind of.
There's no sales
function.
guys at DEF CON.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, right? Is like DEF CON's not about selling. It's not about products. It's not about, and they got to pay the bills. Look, there's a place for BlackHat. There's a place for DEF CON. And I'm
nothing
glad
wrong.
They're two separate things.
Yeah.
That is my
100%.
and that's, and when I had Steve on earlier, who's the general manager of BlackHat, he's like, BlackHat was born out of DEF CON. Then we want to keep the partnership. We want to keep what's great about both of them. And I asked him what he hoped to be able to say in 2030. And he's like, I hope we're still community driven. I hope we're still a community of practitioners for practitioners, and that we still keep that focus. So that was awesome for me to hear.
That's cool. Well, we survived.
Yeah. High five. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for episode 419 of Enterprise Security Weekly. I'm Jackie McGuire.
I'm Ayman Elsawah.
And we will see you next week.
All right.